Massachusetts is one of the few states in the entire country where the legislature claims it doesn't have to follow the same public records law that everyone else does. Yesterday, on June 3rd, our House of Representatives had the opportunity to fix that. They didn't. Instead, they made it worse, all while calling it transparency. My name is John Norris. I'm an attorney, a veteran, a father, and I'm running for state representative of Bridgewater and Raynham. I want to walk you through what happened because what the bill claims it is and what the substance is are actually two very different things. The story starts with you. In November 2024, you voted on question one, whether the state auditor should be allowed to audit the legislature the same way that she can already audit every other part of the state government. It passed with 72% of the vote, not 51, 72. That means that Democrats, Republicans, independents, everyone came together in support of this idea. The message could not have been clearer. Open the books. And understand what the audit actually is. It's not a witch hunt. It's an accounting job. It's some independent person looking over how our tax dollars are being spent and then reporting back to us, letting us know the truth. That's all you asked for, the truth. Yesterday, the House passed a bill. It's named an act promoting transparency and public access in state government. That's the headline. Here's the fine print. There are four parts. First, and I'll be fair, there's a genuinely good piece. For the first time, the governor's office is going to have to follow the public records law. That's real, it's overdue, and it's great. I'll give them credit for it. Second, the bill sets up a new process for the public to request certain legislative records. This includes hearing notices, written testimony, committee votes. Some of that's a good step forward too. But the third thing is where the substance and the title part ways. That same bill takes the audit you approved, the audit that could look at the whole operation of the legislature, and shrinks it down to four narrow categories, and it only is allowed to go back to 2021. Budgets, expenditures, official audits, and settlements are all subject, but nothing else is. Everything else gets walled off under this label that they invented called the constitutional functions. The fourth and most frightening part, and this is what I need you to hear, as both a member of the legal profession and as your neighbor. When it comes to the audit, the bill says that no court is allowed to step in. I don't want you taking my word for it. I'm going to read it to you. It states in the bill, no court shall have jurisdiction to compel the production of records, to enforce any interview request, or to adjudicate any dispute. Think about what that means. If an auditor asks for documents from the legislature and the legislature just says no, she can't go to a judge. She can't determine if their rejection of records is legal because the bill says there is no judge. The only thing she's allowed to do is write in her report that they said no. The legislature decides what to hand over and when to hand it over and if what they handed over was enough. They've made themselves the player, the referee, and the replay booth all at once. Look, I'm an attorney. I've stood in courtrooms. I know the value and the necessity of the judicial branch. And I'm telling you plainly, when the government writes a law that says no judge is allowed to review it, that should frighten you, no matter which party you belong to. That is not a technicality. That's the whole ball game. Don't take it from me. Take it from an official you elected. You don't have to trust a candidate like me on this. Trust a person you actually elected to do this job. State Auditor Diana DiZoglio. She is a Democrat, and the day this bill surfaced, she recorded a video, and you could hear it in her voice. She said she was, quote, so deeply disturbed by what I'm witnessing in our state house, end quote. She said the bill, quote, essentially negates everything you voted for, end quote. She pointed straight at the part I just read you, warning that written in, quote, language in this bill that says the courts are not even allowed to adjudicate these matters, end quote. And then she said something that stopped even me. She said, quote, I don't recognize our state legislature anymore, end quote. She called it, quote, what authoritarianism looks like, end quote. Now that's very strong language, maybe even stronger than I would use. But she's not wrong about the facts. They didn't consult her office. They didn't put up a public hearing. They unveiled the bill on June 2nd, and then they voted on it on June 3rd. When the official, the voters empowered, says she doesn't recognize her own government and she belongs to the same party that wrote this bill, that's not partisanship. This is a serious alarm. So, how did 8th Plymouth vote? Our current state representative, Dennis Gallagher, voted in favor. To his credit, he didn't hide it. He put a statement on Facebook explaining himself. I read all of it. I want to be fair, so let's go through it. He said he, quote, voted yes to allow the audit, end quote. But the audit was already allowed. You allowed it in 2024, and the courts had already started clearing the way for this. The state auditor Zaglio had made some headway in the Supreme Judicial Court, so it was on its way to becoming a real thing. So he didn't allow the audit, but he did vote to put limits on it. He pointed out that the bill lets the auditor, quote, publicly document disputes or withheld records, end quote. That's true. But think about what that actually is. It's not a remedy. That's a consolation prize. Neither the auditor nor a court can compel the legislature to give up documents, but they could both write it in a report. That's not accountability. And then he said the most revealing thing of all. He admitted the bill, quote, does not reflect my full belief in a larger, in-depth legislative audit, end quote. He said he was, quote, poised to support an amendment, end quote, that would have let the auditor go to the courts after all, but it was withdrawn, so he never had to vote on it. Respectfully, being, quote, poised to support, end quote, a vote you never have to take costs you nothing. The vote he did take, the one on the record, the one that counts, was yes on a bill that keeps the courts out and reduces the legislature's culpability for anything that they're doing. That truly did cost something. It cost the people the transparency that they demanded. If he truly believed that the auditor would be able to stand before a judge, the bill in front of him did the exact opposite. And he voted for it anyway, instead voting no to send it back and fix it. And voting no was a real option. It didn't mean killing transparency. It meant sending this back and saying, hey, keep the good parts, drop the parts where you make yourself your own judge, and then give us a real audit that people asked for. 28 members did exactly that. Every Republican and 3 very honorable Democrats who decided the voters' mandate mattered more than the speaker's timeline. The right to vote was on the table. He could have voted no. The auditor in her video ended with a request. Right before the vote, she requested that, quote, a few good reps decide to take a stand by voting no, end quote. A few did. Dennis Gallagher was not one of them. I don't believe in just pointing at problems, so here's what I think the fix would be. I think we should put out a clean bill, one that makes everybody subject to the records laws. So keep the governor under the public records law and then remove the part where the legislature is now immune to public records laws. After that, put the courts back into the process. The courts are the judiciary. They're supposed to be there for a reason. They determine the legality and constitutionality of things. This is the difference I'm offering. I won't tell you a bad bill is a good bill just because it's a nice title. I'll read the fine print. I'll tell you what's in it, and then vote the way the 72% of you said you already wanted. You gave us a mandate. The legislature should follow through. And transparency should be something that everyone's in favor of. I'm John Norris. I'm running for state representative of Bridgewater and Raynham, and I have a real vision forward, one that includes true transparency. And if you want the receipts on everything I've just told you, they're in the description below. Because I believe in transparency. I'll see you at the polls.